friends, welcome back to my channel. It is time for us to do another update on my Lorac Mega Pro palette. If this is your first time tuning in, this is actually going to be a 13-month update. I will link up in the cards a playlist that I have of me trying to work on this in 2018, and I loved it so much, wanted to keep using it in 2019, so that's what we have going on. Before I show you guys where my palette is, I will go ahead and show you what it looked like after 12 months of usage. This is what my palette looks like after 13 months of usage. Okay, so before we talk about the individual progress on certain shades, I just want to talk to you guys about the fact that the progress I feel in 2019 is going to be less significant, I think, from month to month. And that is because if you look at the palette right now, I predominantly only have crease shades in here. And I only have one set of creases to be putting eyeshadow in on a regular basis. The other contributing factor that I think will slow down the progress is I'm getting to the point where predominantly in the palette I have matte shades. And the matte shades in my Mega Pro palette are very hard pressed, so it's hard to get really significantly noticeable usage in a fast amount of time. So I don't say that as like to make excuses. I say that more to just be realistic about where the palette is at this point. Do I still love using it? Yes. Am I still happy with my 2019 choice? Yes. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about some noteworthy progress. First up, you guys can see that the black is being widened a little bit more. I'm trying to concentrate on like the latter half, as you can see right here, of the pan. This is not because I'm putting this on as eyeshadow. I'm using it to set a black pencil liner that I'm currently using. Once that puppy is used up, I probably will stop using this until I go on to another black liner that is a pencil form. I just feel like setting pencil liners has been very successful for me, and it also helps to make the color really nice and opaque, which I love. But I will not be using this for smoky eyes. Other thing I have is sienna. I really had honed in on wanting to use sienna. In fact, it was probably where I spent a good chunk, maybe I would say half of all of my eye looks came from sienna. I also have maybe a little bit of a dip happening in copper. I've tried playing around with copper in different ways. To date, I would say I haven't been in love with copper. It's definitely a shade that is on the potential chopping block to be popped out of the palette. So if you have any recommendations based on what you see here, or now that you also know what my eyeshadow collection looks like, if you have any recommendations of palettes that I could pair copper with, I would love to hear that down below, because right now, based on my own exploration and creativity, I've not been in love with copper, and if that continues, it's out of here. I also have a little bit of progress on opal. I know it's hard to tell because it's such like a white color compared to the pan, but you can see on the side here, that's where I focused most of my efforts in. My issue with opal, I don't dislike it. I just find that it is not like the best all over gold color that I prefer. So I'll use it here and there, but I don't think it's one that I can just like zone in on and use for an entire month and be satisfied. But also if I did that, it would be gone. So because it's really the only, to me, go-to lid color that I have left in here, I'm kind of sort of just like letting it linger, even though I could probably get it done if I really wanted to. I also spent some time working on brown. It's nothing like super noticeable and big, but I just did extend the pan a little bit here. I was doing some looks with it here and there, but I also spent a good chunk of time on wisteria. I'm really into this color. I was trying to really focus on getting this part worked up and then moving over to the top part here, because I have made the mistake of panning and leaving a piece like that in a pan. In this palette, it doesn't go well because it doesn't stay put because gravity is working against it. So I'm gonna try to finish like this side of it and then move up to here and work my way down. I really love Wisteria. It's definitely a color that I go through love affairs with, where I'm like hitting it every single day and then I have to force myself to use something else. It's definitely one of those colors where when this is gone, I'll really be left with mostly warm tones, which isn't a bad thing, but I really do like it. I also did some discovering this particular month with Dusty Plum, and maybe you can see a little bit of a dip happening in Dusty Plum. I actually was wearing it in a number of videos that I posted in January, and a couple of you guys had asked me what I was wearing, and it was basically this in my crease and in my outer lid, and then I had a ColourPop like pinky shadow on as well, and I personally loved it, so I appreciate the compliments, but I definitely didn't get to use Dusty Plum a lot in 2018, and I'm really happy to have found that I really enjoy it. So that's why I also was happy to have this be used in 2019, because there were still a lot of other colors I hadn't really touched. The other color that I played around with was Stone, and I'm actually a little bit sad about this one. This one is also on the chopping block. When I was first looking at Stone, I thought it would be a lot like Khaki. Khaki was just like this really like nice, basic, matte, like taupey color. It was like almost, I feel like, a few shades lighter than Stone, and it was perfect for my pale, pale skin. Like, it just worked really well as a universal neutral eye crease color. So when I went to Stone, I was like, all right, Stone will probably just be a little bit darker. It's no big deal. No, Stone really looks nothing like what it is in the pan. Like, when I see that, I'm like, yes, this is so like pretty, like this is what I want. I'm really into it. And when I see it swatched, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. But as you're trying to blend it and pack color on, it just gets really dark really fast. And I don't like that, because if I don't build up the color, it doesn't really have much of a punch. And if I build it up, it gets too dark. So I may not be keeping Stone around in my collection, and based on my experience with Stone, it makes me nervous to play with gray, because I feel like if Stone came out darker than it was supposed to based on looking at it in the pan, I can only imagine what gray is going to look like in my crease, but I do at least want to try it in February. The other thing to be aware of is that in February, I am chaperoning a school trip overseas. So my entire February break will be abroad, which means I'm not bringing this palette with me. I'm trying to find in my collection right now a good standalone palette that I can have that won't weigh down my suitcase, because this is just too much. But that is it where I'm at with this particular palette for my 13-month update. I would really like to get Sienna done. I would like to finalize this little lingering section of Wisteria, and aside from that, just keep playing with the shades that I haven't really played much with, because I'm curious to see if there are any other shades in here I'm going to have to depot and throw away because I just don't like them. Now, on top of showing you guys where I'm at with my Lorac Mega Pro palette, I wanted to show you where I was at with my Too Faced Matte Eye, because as you guys know, I was using the cream in here, and I have continued with that. And this is where I am at. Do you see all of that bright, shiny, shiny pan all up in there? I am so proud of myself. Now, interestingly enough, I want to say like 2 days after I posted my finale, I hit a tiny speckle of pan, and I was like, wait, what is that? What is that there? And then the pan widened really fast. And then we went to a standstill. We're at a stalemate now. I definitely have been trying to work more on this section here. I'm not somebody who likes to repress shadows. I just feel like it's more work than it's worth. So I'm really curious to see how much more pan I can get showing. But for now, I will say that I'll probably have this for like 5 more months at least. This has been a really awesome cream shadow to curb how I was just like wiping out my population. Another thing I wanted to show you guys was just some of the other like go-to lid colors I have been pulling in alongside my Lorac Mega Pro palette. The first is from my Cargo Cosmetics Emerald City palette. I was pulling this in January to decide if I wanted to keep this or not. And while I have not finalized my thoughts on that, I will at least say I have been loving Northwest. I love it so much that I've hit pan on that shadow. This definitely isn't like a super hard press shadow, and it definitely wasn't difficult to get pan on there, but I will definitely keep you guys posted on the rest of the palette because I have not finalized my thoughts, but I've at least been loving that like champagne-y gold shade. I have also been cracking into this ColourPop palette that I made. I think it was last year. I had bought some shades with the intent to use them as lid colors only, and so I have been predominantly focusing on working with this guy right here. Oh yeah. And this color as well. This is what I was pairing Dusty Plum with, like just absolutely loving the two of them. I don't know if ColourPop still makes these shades, but if so, we have Let Me Explain and then Liar Liar. So I do have some good dips going on there. I'm happy that I'm actually like starting to work on some lid colors that I intentionally bought in conjunction to use with my Lorac Mega Pro palette. But all in all, I'm really enjoying where I'm at with the Lorac Mega Pro palette. It definitely is a palette that I'm still getting a lot of use out of, but also couples up nicely with testing out other palettes in my collection. So I'd be really curious to see where I am at the end of February. It's a very short month to begin with, and then I'm also going to be taking a break from that thing for a week. So I'll be curious to see what we got going on. But aside from that, that is it for me. I'll talk to you guys in my next video real soon.